In today's video, I finally get my nether portal decorated. It took a lot of farms and a lot of hours, but I love how it turned out. First things first, I needed a wither farm. I needed a wither farm so I could get wither heads so that I could make a wither rose farm so I could get black dye. So I tested this out in Creative World. So I already knew sort of where the fortress was. I was absolutely terrified right here because the skeleton was looking at me and I was like, this is it, I'm done, it's gonna get me. But thankfully it did not, and I was able to run around and get the boundaries of this fortress so that I could make a wither farm with it. Soul speed, by the way, amazing. So nice to just be able to run over that stuff. Here I'm just trying to find the coordinates that I have marked down from before. I could have redone the whole thing, but it didn't seem to make much sense. I've learned to test everything in a creative world because there have been far too many times I've spent hours on a farm and have it not work. So if I'm building a farm, it goes creative. I found pretty close to the center point that I'd found earlier, and then I needed nether brick. A ton of nether bricks. Thankfully, there was another fortress over this way, so I just headed over. The great news about nether fortresses is these towers they have are just solid nether brick. So I kind of dug around to find the edges of where that tower ends, and then just dug and dug for quite a while. I needed 900 pieces or something. It was a lot. I needed a lot of nether brick. And I kept plugging up the holes because I don't trust me not to fall into the lava. It may not be a hardcore world like the one I lost, but I still don't want to fall in and lose all my stuff again. Again, yes, I lost all my stuff, and I made a video explaining it and was rebuilding, but apparently never posted it, and by the time I realized that, I had already rebuilt. So I didn't see any point in posting it. So I was absolutely paranoid about running out of invisibility while doing this. I checked the time on that so often. Probably actually wasted a ton of time just checking, but I was so scared to be stuck out here basically naked. I had no armor on because the more armor you have on, the more visible you are. Alright, gathered enough. Time to climb on out. I had to beat a level 86 or something, I don't even know. And of course I got lost because that's just who I am. Even with coordinates, I get lost a lot. But I did know I needed to be up because I needed to be up at the highest point of the fortress, I think -1. Then I found a chest. Pretty cool. Always happy for more loot. And it was junk. Absolute junk. I was so disappointed. And then I just had to use the right tools to get out of there and get back up to the level I needed to be at to start my wither farm. And I somehow just happened to dig up right at the chunk border, which is exactly where I needed to be. So I was pretty excited about that. You could see my rock over there showing the general area I needed to be at. So I dug back down to be at the proper level and started digging it out. First thing you do is place the chest down, because I guess the iron golem stands on chests. And of course, the first thing I did was build it one level too low. So I had to pull them back up and try that again. So I think this was the scariest part for me, having to build out over the void with all the ghasts around. Just terrifying, because I kept putting on and then taking off my elytra because I wanted it on for safety, but I was afraid to have it on because then things could see me, which they ended up being able to see me. And I kept my boots on for the soul speed, which, looking back, wasn't necessary once I got here. I didn't need soul speed anymore. And here's where I messed up. I just went out a whole extra chunk. I don't even know how. I literally just had to count to 15. And just kept going. Apparently I was having fun. So I had to go back and fix that up. And then, whoops, I almost jumped off the edge. I panicked, which is silly, but I was so afraid of being hit without any armor on. Here's where I realized I probably should not have been wearing the boots. They were pointless. And just tried to do this without the elytra. See there? Right there? That extra chunk. Lost all that nether brick. Anywho, I ended up finishing up the border and then going through and filling it in. I really truly thought that I recorded all of that, but I can't find the footage now of me doing any of the filling in. So I just have the border. The inside had some interesting stuff that happened. Also here, being around blazes with no armor on was absolutely terrifying. I was so paranoid checking my potions. And once I was done with all of the platform, I went ahead and put down the walls. Super simple, really nothing to it. I think they're to stop magma cubes. I don't recall for sure. Anyways, after that, it was time to put out some turtle eggs to distract the piggy guys. I guess it makes them despawn because they get distracted by them. And these were a pain to get, and now I have so many extras at home that I may as well start a turtle farm. Then it was time to go ahead and start building the chamber for the iron golem. This, thankfully, went so much easier than it did in my creative world. Because in my creative world, I forgot to torch up the place and I had mobs everywhere and the iron golem was chasing them and I tried to put him on a lead. And the lead just kept stretching and he just kept running after things. And I finally just pushed him off the edge and just made a new one. That's why I brought enough gear here, or enough supplies here to build 2 of them if need be. But thankfully he went right in, there was no problems, and easy peasy lemon squeezy. So the chamber, super easy. Nothing really complicated about it, just trying to keep the iron golem in and the other things out. And spawn proof, because that would be a mess. So it says to put these redstone repeaters because it makes it tall enough that regular skeletons can't see him, so they won't start shooting. And the wither skeletons will just run towards him. It must work. I've only seen one actual skeleton in my farm. And I had to build so many nether portals for this farm, and I don't know why I struggled so hard on most of them. Nether portals aren't hard to make, and my brain just would not do it. Anyways, basically done. Grab the coordinates because I'm going to need those when I get up to the nether roof and clear up all the torches. And I'm ready for the next step, which is my very first time on the nether roof. I've never been up here before. I've always played Bedrock prior to starting this channel. So I was super stoked that it worked and I didn't die. And then I build the killing chamber, which in true Sonya sense, I messed up. Not bad enough to destroy anything, thankfully, but I did mess up. I put the cobblestone down just so I knew where the center was, because I couldn't keep track of it otherwise. But the killing chamber is really, really easy to build. If you're not me, apparently. Here's where I don't know what happened here. I have no idea why I struggled so hard with this. I did just fine in creative mode on this part. And when I tried to make it in survival, there was no reason to have the glass that high. I don't have any idea what I was doing. And then I just, obviously that's not right. Obviously. I could not figure out what I was doing wrong, and it made no sense. And it's still, looking back at it, I still don't know how I messed that up so badly. But I did. And I still couldn't figure out, but I was like, yeah, moving on to the next phase. So, started the other side. This is my entrance and exit portal. I kept double placing the slabs. It was really annoying. And this was unnecessary. I really should have made that glass too wide. There was absolutely no reason to be risking that. Get my coordinates again, because I'm going to need those in the overworld. And we're off to the overworld portion. This part took me so long. I don't know why I struggle so much with following coordinates. But it turned out my coordinates that I needed to be at were underground. So threw my helmet on. Thankfully, I have respiration on it. And built up a couple 120 some blocks so that I could make the, what do they call it? The walkway? The bridge? The bridge. They call it a bridge. This is where all the withers are going to come through the overworld. And I didn't have enough materials to make anything look good. I don't know. I know I lost a lot of nether brick, but everything just looks messy. And it's not really worth going back and fixing. You don't really see this part almost ever. And it's like 5,000 blocks from my house, so I'm not going to just see it from my front porch or anything. Here's the slab so that the withers can climb up there easy. Well, climb down easy, I guess. And they come over here, they get slowed down by the spider webs, and they come through here. And I'm realizing I did something wrong. I know something's not right. I did fix the platform they land, but I messed up my headpiece, and there I fixed it. And this farm is ridiculous. I only have looting 2 on my sword, and it still produced so many wither heads. Wither skulls? So many wither skulls. Just so quickly. And so much coal and bones and a bazillion wooden swords. I'm gonna have to figure out some sort of trash system for those wooden stone swords, because I don't want 5 billion stone swords. I'll keep the coal and the bones, but I don't want the swords, so I really need to make a storage system up there. Some sort of sorter. Anyways, in the amount of time I was taking to clear my inventory and move stuff around, they were starting to die from entity cramming. This farm is amazing, and I highly recommend building it if you get a chance. I will link below the one I chose to use, but I'm pretty certain they're all about the same. Anyways, chilled here for a while, gathered up enough wither skulls to make myself happy, and decided to head out and do the wither rose farm. I didn't record digging this out. Digging it out was so easy. Just literally a square under the bedrock. I messed this one up too. Nothing major, didn't get hurt. I really can mess up any farm I make. I don't think I've made a farm without making a mistake yet. And that wasn't even the mistake. It was just a misplace. I way overdid it on those shears. I'm going to go back and pull most of those out. I think they said it was something like 2,000 pumpkin heads before a shear breaks. So went a little overkill there. It's a really, really simple farm design. I will also link this one down below because it is so easy. And it's oh, what's the word? It's sustainable. It's not completely automatic. You have to be actively doing it, but it's super sustainable. And this is just me struggling to place a trapdoor over and over again, because apparently that's hard. It's not, but my brain thinks so. So you gotta empty your inventory of everything except for snow, because you're gonna need the inventory space for the snow and wither roses. Put my chest plate on because I got scared. I don't know. There's pumpkins in the top one, and you put snow connecting to the bottom two, and then the pumpkin gets placed and then it gets sheared off. I don't know why I turned it on and off a couple times. I was scared of being blown up by the wither when he popped. I messed up. I don't know how. This was a silly mistake. It took me 10 minutes, I think, to figure out what happened. And the only thing that was wrong is that I was standing one block too high. That's it. And I decided not to move the barrels because there was no point. But I still managed to mess up, even after fixing this. I managed to mess up once. So toss the pumpkins in. And easy, right? No, right there. Put it in the wrong spot. I finally got in the rhythm of it. After a few tries, you literally just point your mouse there and hold. And you make 64 snow golems, which die and give you wither roses. A lot of wither roses. When you're done, you just come down here and grab them and all your snow. I was done. Obviously, I had quite a few wither roses. I needed a lot of black dye. So I just went ahead and took care of the wither real quick. I will eventually have to fight him officially rather than with him blocked up. But, you know, I got him. And then go home. Get home and realize I need to smelt some 600 and some odd pieces of glass. So I built a super smelter. This was easy. I will, again, link it down below, but it's such an easy thing. Yes, I do mess it up once or twice. I have also, since making this, managed to mix up the fuel and item to be smelted like 5 or 6 times. I amaze myself sometimes. I really do. It's a very resource heavy farm, especially on iron. So I'd recommend an iron farm before you try to build this. But after that, it's just easy. And then, surprise! More creeper. Always a creeper. Every time I build something, a creeper shows up. I need to light everything up so much better. And get like an army of cats that just sits around my base. Get the levers on. Power it all up. And it's ready to go. Once I figure out where to put everything. Yeah, and put the minecart hoppers on. My carefully sorted inventory that I spent hours on, and then every time I do a build, I mess it all up again. Counting sand. So much sand. But hey, thankfully I have plenty of coal from the Wither Skull farm. And watch it go. It's so satisfying. So here's real time how fast this thing runs. Pretty snazzy. I really like it. I'm glad I made it. This is going to make smelting things so much easier. Then I realized I don't have enough blue dye, and I did not want to go around hunting blue flowers, so I looked up a flower farm. The paths have nothing to do with the farm. I just lose count really easily because of the brain fog due to the lupus, so I tend to mark out my paths a lot when I'm building. This is, again, super stupid easy, and again, I make a couple mistakes. Nothing big, just literally this tiny little thing that makes me just go, ugh. I didn't do any testing to see where the best place to put this was, but I did test it in creative mode to make sure it would work. And yeah, works great, super easy. Loud as heck, the loudest farm. Oh my gosh, it's so loud. I'm going to come in here one time and change those. Change the stone to something cooler. I don't know. I really struggle with my shovel. I've got to get a less intense shovel for some of these smaller projects. And yeah. Missing 2 pistons. Good start. I'm getting better at flying most of the time. And thankfully I had pistons at home. I just didn't grab enough when I left. This farm is actually kind of fun. I've never used note blocks before. Note blocks? Yeah, note blocks. Ugh. Haven't had coffee yet. It's easy. It doesn't take a lot of resources. The only complaint is that it is so loud that I ended up muting my computer while using it. I could not handle it. I'm a weenie. I don't build at night anymore. I need to work on that. Spend some time just practicing being out at night. But you know. This is just setting up the bone meal system to bone meal the ground for the flowers. I guess this part is fairly resource heavy. It takes quite a few hoppers. You could probably make this without those if you didn't have them yet, and not bury them like I did. And I brought far too much. I forgot that bones don't do 1-to-1 bone meal, so I have a lot. But I also have a lot of bones, so it's not like I'm at any risk of running out. And then last step is put a fence around it. That I messed up twice. Anyways, you hit the note block, hit the other note block, and it goes. And boy, does it go. I have the sound turned off, but I promise it goes something like choo 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 choo, but louder than you could ever imagine. And then to turn it off, you hit that note block again. It is completely apparently random how many times you have to hit it to turn it off. Here, I'm smelting some stone. I want nice stone. And here's where I mess up putting it in. And then surprise, my favorite person in the game. Thankfully, quick, easy fix. Not a problem. Time to start building. It took me so long to clear the land. I did this in creative. I tested it out. Everything was beautiful. When I brought it into the world, I didn't start at the right spot. So clearing the land took way more work than I was planning for. I messed up so many times. I cut that whole thing out because nobody needed to watch me have to fix that a dozen times. So I started with a base of black concrete. Believe I made this 30 by 30. Hence why I needed all the wither roses. I tried to speed this up so it wasn't so painful to watch. No, and I brought a dog and a cat for protection. They ended up just getting in the way so many times. The cat did earn its keep later on in the video, but in the meantime, there was just constant interruptions because of them. And I built 2 iron golems, thinking they could protect me, and they just wandered off. I have no idea where they are when I'm making the video. They're gone. Just off doing their own thing, I guess. So I ended up clearing even more land, as you see, because I didn't like how it was sitting. I'm still so frustrated. I have it over like half a chunk from where I planned it in my creative world. Anyways, after the black concrete, purple glass. Which is why I needed so much blue dye. I had .30 by 30 purple glass, and then I do magenta, and then I do purple, and then later I have some more purple and more magenta. It was a lot of blue. And red. But red is easy. Poppies from the iron farm, super easy. I'll never be out of red dye. Anyways, I'm really proud of this design. I do struggle a lot with building, and I think this turned out really nice. I'm happy with what I made here. And the build itself didn't take very long once I got it all knocked out in creative mode and figured out what I was doing. I think the actual builds took me under half an hour. Just the terraforming took forever. Classic Sonya. Here's another mistake. So, had to tear it all back down. Not all, just this row. 2 rows. Hey, look, one of my iron golems. There's a whole layer of magenta glass on top of the purple glass. I didn't want to make the dog just sit because I wanted him to protect me in case mobs came. Which ended up not being necessary. Nothing. There was one creeper later on at the very, very end. I had things pretty well lit up. And then another layer of purple, which I'm not going to make you watch this whole thing because you've already seen it twice now. Then I did some purple concrete. Oh, I'm so excited. I really love how this turned out. I really hope that more of my builds end up being this nice. Oh yeah, and I don't know what I did there. Those don't belong there. Which I didn't realize until I realized I didn't have any more. Anyways, if you got this far, please be sure at some point to let me know what you think about this build and this video. I'm really trying to figure out a style for my recordings and for my videos. And I'm going from absolutely zero experience recording anything in my entire life. So I just am testing things right now, trying to find what works for me. And so if you have any suggestions for things you like or don't like about what I do, it'd be super cool if you'd let me know below. Because I can't improve if I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Anyways, back to the build. Amethyst is one of my favorite building blocks. It's pretty, and I love the sound it makes when you walk on it. I really do. I don't know what happened to the sound in my video. I had my mic muted, but I still had the game sound on, and none of it is in any of my recordings. So you don't get to hear the cool amethyst. Yeah, got a little confused here. Couldn't remember how I built this and couldn't quite see it in my picture. I got the soul sand idea from another video I watched, and I really wish I could remember who it was. But they used the soul sand for the blue fire as an accent piece, and I loved that. So I went with that, but I don't remember who. I'm sure a lot of creators have done it, so I'm not super stressed. I just really prefer to give credit when I do borrow ideas. Or even pieces of ideas. Yeah, there's a dog in the way again. Built in this whole sand, realized I was missing a piece. Thankfully, super easy to find. I knew basically where it was. I said basically. Got some sleep because I didn't want to deal with phantoms. I dealt with those a lot in creative mode. And obviously they don't attack, but they're loud. And they kept scaring me. Not because phantoms are overall scary, but because they just go as they fly by and startled me every time. Anyways, here's the materials I used. It's not super involved. Considering how long it took me to figure this out, it ended up being a lot less than I thought. Oh, and the soul speed here just kept sabotaging me. I kept running past my torches. Part of what I liked about this build, though, is I really got to play with blocks I've never used before. Like, I've never chiseled anything. I ended up having to build the stone cutter just to make this thing. Yes, that's the nice thing about testing things in creative is you can test whatever you want, and then you just come back through and figure out how to make it. And I struggle with stairs. I don't know why. They're easy. I just always end up misclicking on my stairs. Like that. Then I suddenly realized I don't want my animals following me up there. That would be dangerous. They would fall. So I made the dog sit, and then I kind of just waited for the cat to be in place where I wanted it to be. So I didn't make it sit quite yet, because I wanted the cat to protect me from creepers. It's the whole purpose of bringing the cat. Because as you saw in most of my other videos, I'm really tired of creepers blowing things up on me. I should have brought scaffolding. I'm so used to using dirt as a building block that I didn't even think about the scaffolding. No, the jump really was not all that extreme. I struggle immensely with jumping and landing where I plan to. I've been working on that, trying to get better. But don't expect to see any parkour videos from me anytime soon. Unless you just want to laugh at me failing over and over and over again. There we go. Cat right center. Scare away all the creepers. My thinking was that no creepers will come inside with the cat there. And it turned out to work. Worked beautifully. I was really surprised how much I liked these polished, chiseled black stone. A really unique pattern. And I really worked on this one with textures and different shapes, and really tried to make this more than just a box. So at this point, I was getting super close to the end, and I was really excited at how quickly this was going and how easily it was going. And it turned out just as cool as I had planned for it to do. The only thing I'm eventually going to have to get is some candles. Oh, you see the creeper? See him creeping around? I didn't notice him right away. I really didn't notice him until right about there. But he wouldn't come in because of the cat, so that's all I needed. So much glass. Oh, also my first ever time building with work blocks. I just think they look so cool at the top of a tower, like almost like little gargoyles looking out. You know, what kind of tower is it if it doesn't have a bunch of smoke coming out the top, you know? And eventually my goal is to get candles up there too. Checking for the creeper, I had to make sure I was safe. And clean up my mess so I can finish things off and it'll actually look good. And you know, let the animals free. Then it was time to build the portals finally. Suppose I could have built them earlier. I don't know. Also, misplacing obsidian, one of the most painful things to do in the game. Outside of things that can actually kill you. And then, time to light her up. I don't use shaders very often. My computer doesn't handle them well, but I absolutely had to show off this build with shaders on. Right at sunrise, so the sun comes streaming in. Oh, just made me so happy. This part makes me so happy. Looks so cool. And quick little fly around. Hope you enjoyed. See you next video.